Hi, 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 hi. I do like to get myself in the mood for it, you know.
Do you?
Yeah, a little warm.
Oh,
Do you have any
secret.
rituals?
No.
Oh, just presses record. Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm Simon and today I'm back with a very special guest for a very special video as my mum, aka, in fact no, I'm joined by Louise Savage Muses, the artist formerly known as my mother.
Oh, that's brilliant. I've got nothing to say.
No, she's speechless almost. We're going to be talking about our reaction to the Women's Prize Longlist, which has just been announced, and we're going to go through the books, talk about our reaction, and talk about what our plan is, because we're reading them together this year. I feel like you've not spoken, I've been talking for a minute.
No, but it's fine, because I've been grinning, like, from ear to ear as you've been talking, because I'm so excited.
We've been quite giddy.
I know, this is one of my favourite moments of the year. I don't know what that says about me or the prize. Good things about the prize.
Both.
Good things about me, probably. But I just love this. It's become a reading project, an annual reading project for us. And yeah, it's just an absolute blessing.
It is. We're very lucky. We've been given the list a little bit early so that we can film so it goes live not long after the announcement, which have just happened on the Women's Prize channel. And so, yeah, what we thought we'd do is go through the books, our thoughts on them. We're missing one, but I've got a supply version for now. Is that the right term? What do I mean? A substitute.
Yes.
So, we're going to go through them. We might not know that much about some of them, which I find super exciting, but might be frustrating as a viewer, because I don't like sitting and reading blurbs, and I actually don't like to read blurbs too much.
No, I would agree with all of that. Did you just say you've put them in alphabetical
order?
Yeah,
so they're in alphabetical order of author surname, and ladies first, with the first one.
Not called a lady very often. Okay, so...
I don't really know where to go with that.
First up is Glory by NoViolet Bulawayo, which we have both read, haven't we?
We have.
Because we read it, it was shortlisted for the Booker Prize, so read it relatively recently. I think we both can say we enjoyed it, didn't we? It's a Zimbabwean take on Animal Farm by George Orwell-ish. So the characters in it are all animals, aren't they?
It's got one of the most wicked donkeys I've ever witnessed, and I actually don't mind donkeys. I don't like horses; they're all evil, but I don't normally mind donkeys, but in this one, she's wicked.
She is wicked. I mean, it was really entertaining, wasn't it? Very funny, very amusing, but also politically very important, I think. Yeah, any thoughts?
No, because I was going to do this as a very quick whiz through.
Yes, sorry, I always talk too much. I'm right, thank you. Quickly whiz.
Next up, we have Jennifer Croft's Homesick, which is from the small press Charco Press, yes. And this is interesting, it's one of their untranslated ones, because normally Charco Press publish a lot of fiction in translation, and Jennifer Croft is a translator. She translates Olga Tokarczuk, I hope I've said that right, who's been up for the International Booker quite a few times and won the Pulitzer. So I'm really intrigued for this. I'm also intrigued because in America, this is described as a memoir. That intrigues me. On the cover of the American edition, it says memoir. So, yeah, I'm really, really intrigued. I think it's about sisters. That's all I know about it. I think they've got a private language, and I think it's what happens between them. So, yeah, I'm really, really intrigued for it. And it's in a Simon Savage favourite, vignettes.
Oh, even better.
I love a vignette. Over to you, Louise.
Right, next up is Fire Rush by Jacqueline Crooks. I know absolutely nothing about this novel whatsoever.
I know you're holding it in front of your face. She's got her own channel now, which I will link down below, so she should know. I don't know why she's gone into bad habits with me.
So professional. It says, "This is our dancing time" on the back, and it describes it as, it's a debut novel as well, so maybe that's one of the reasons why I haven't heard of her.
It's only just come out. It only came out at the beginning of March, and it looks at, I think, the reggae movement.
Well, certainly the colours would suggest that on the cover.
Which could go either way for me, because music and art in books I don't always get on with, but I'm excited for this one.
No, it's weird, isn't it? Because we both love music, but sometimes I find it a bit...
I think unless you really know it sometimes, but it could be, like, in the right hands, you can read anything by anyone. Then I have Children of Paradise by Camilla Grudova, which I had thought was a book in translation. I have no idea why, because it isn't. It's about cinema.
Thanks for that.
No, but I'm just explaining, because you know how you have certain preconceived
I do.
ideas about a book. And when this arrived, I was like, oh, that looks like it might be translated fiction. Don't know why. No reason for it. All I've heard about this is it's about cinema, and it's bonkers.
Oh, well, that sounds like it might be.
That's all I've heard. Yeah, I'm intrigued by it. Oh, and each chapter's named after a film. So chapter 1 is Midnight Cowboy, directed by John Schlesinger, from 1969.
So maybe watch the films as you go.
And also it says it's at the Paradise Cinema, Children of Paradise. I see what they're doing there. Anyway, so that's book 4.
Right, book number 5. I was absolutely delighted to see this one longlisted. Nearly said shortlisted. I'm very confused.
She's suddenly become Mystic Meg.
Which is Natalie Haynes.
Is that a sign from the Oracle, maybe?
If you watch our channels, you'll be aware we both are massive fans of Natalie. And this is a retelling of the story of Medusa. And it has a very interesting, quite comic take on Perseus.
I love it. I think it's comic throughout, but also incredibly poignant. The first opening scene where...
The first opening scene?
Yeah. The first scene...
Sorry.
We're not doing this ever again. This is the last year. It's the final year, Louise. I just won't do this anymore. I've never said that before. Anyway, no, the opening scene where Zeus is trying to seduce...
Perseus. No,
not Perseus. That would be a very different story.
Honestly, my mind is
anyway,
blank,
the classicist can't remember and I can't remember, but that is one of the most incredibly scenes I've ever read.
I don't know what art means.
The way he shifts into different animals to try and get at it, makes it's so beautifully written, but it's really tense and horrific. We've talked about this book for too long.
His desperation.
So, although I suppose we're going to with the ones that we know more about because we've read them.
I think so.
Next we have Trespasses by Louise Kennedy, which you won't be able to tell because this is the proof edition. I do have the finished edition, so I don't know why I brought this one up. But I know this is about the Troubles, and that's all I know about it. You've read this one already.
I've read it, and I absolutely love Kushla, the main character. She really intrigued me, and also I loved the 1970s vibe of it. I thought it was a really interesting book, but I'm not going to say much more about it because I'm not allowed to.
Well, no, we are, but because I think as well, teasing. One thing people have said, which we'll talk about a bit more later maybe, is that they'd like to see us talk about them more as we go, which we haven't tended to do. We tend to just film this, then we film Longlist to Shortlist, and then at the end we put it in our order of preference. Sorry, but the second video is where we put the books. We make our own shortlist. We do that thing where we put a yes or a no on a post-it on the back and then turn it around, so neither of us knows. It's your go next.
It's my turn. I'm
so
just
many
need
people
I need
will
a crane.
be thrilled about this because I got such a bashing for not including this in my predictions video. An absolute... I had to delete comments. People were so arsey about it.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, don't come for me. It's just my choice.
Why? It should be fun book reading. Barbara's Kingsolver, Demon Copperhead. I have not yet read this.
You started it?
Yeah, just started it. And I am really pleased to see this because I am a Barbara Kingsolver fan. I've read quite a few of her novels and really thoroughly enjoyed them. I've
only tried and failed with the Lacuna, which won the Women's Prize before, because we've read all of the 25 winners, didn't we?
Yes, we did, yeah.
So it's interesting that she's up for... Because I don't think anyone's won the Women's Prize twice.
Is that right? No,
I don't think
they have. I think you're right. I think you're definitely.
But it's based around David Copperfield.
Yes, it's a modern, sort of a modern retelling, but it's set in the Appalachians, in a community that is struggling with opioid addiction in their young people, and well, not just their young people. Actually, the whole community's riddled with it. And I think quite an important book for that reason.
It always makes me feel a bit nervous when people say a book's important.
Does it? Yeah, but I think the theme of this is really interesting, and but I don't want to say much because
Well, we're going to be doing something quite
Yeah.
special with
We are,
that book,
so
and
that's
possibly
why
a
I'm
couple
being
of
a bit
others.
cautious.
Now, this is where I have the substitute book, because I don't have the Dog of the North. It's actually not out until the 16th of March, although all the books are on the way. You're getting all the books sent to you very kindly by the Women's Prize. So I've got the author's previous novel. It's Elizabeth Mackenzie, and this was The Portable Veblen, which was shortlisted for the Women's Prize back in 2016, and I remember it being really quirky. It's got a very bonkers squirrel in it. And The Dog of the North, I believe, is about a woman who goes to look after her ex-husband's mother, whose new wife is being wicked to her. But it's also meant to be quite funny and satirical, and there's a bit of romance in there, and that's all I got from the gist. Why
does that remind me of the Lucy Strout last year?
I don't know.
Because there's a lot of her with her ex-husband, isn't there?
There is, but not his
I don't know, just my brain went there for some reason.
His second wife's quite nice. Elizabeth Strout isn't on the list.
No.
That gave a bit of a spoiler away because we're doing it in alphabetical order.
So again, this is another one that I know nothing
one.
about, but I know that Simon is excited by.
Because I just said it.
So this, and actually I love this. This reminds me very much, just the feel of this book reminds me of library books when I was a child.
Oh, really?
It's got a very, very glossy cover, and it just feels lovely in my hand, and actually that's important in a book, I think.
Well, you see, I disagree, because I take the dust jackets off and leave them pristine so that I don't mind if the hardback gets a bit scuffed.
We are so different. We are polar opposite in this way. I love a book to feel lived in.
I don't.
It doesn't mean I disrespect them, but I just, I want it to feel read when I've read it, and I can't bear reading it with a stiff spine or anything like that. But you like your books immaculate, don't you?
Well, no, it's not that I look like I have got a really battered edition of Donna Tartt downstairs, but and I do, like, if I've got a proof, I will, I'll break the spine, I'll dog ear and everything, but if I've got a thing, I don't know what it is. It's probably because, like, without getting the violin out, books were, like, such a, we would go to the library a lot and use library books, but to get a book that was mine, but also if we ever went to Waterstones and got a new one, it was a real treasured possession to me.
True.
So I think that's sort of inbuilt a little bit within me. Yeah. Anyway, I'm excited for this one. Sorry.
I haven't even said what it is yet. It's Cursed Bread by Sophie Mackintosh, and this was, it says on the front, longlisted for the Man Booker as well.
No, that one wasn't. The Watercure
was. Sorry, the
Watercure.
Apologies.
Which
I loved, but just can I draw attention? This makes me want to read it. The picture. So you've got somebody face planted on the ground with a bouquet of what looks like gypsophila flowers around the head, and I just think that's. Is it comic or is it? I don't think it is comic. I think it's tragic. Anyway,
we've become Botany Corner.
I thought you said Botany Corner.
No, I'm excited for this because it's based on a true historical incident where a whole town was poisoned by bread in France.
That's not comic at all.
I wasn't a massive fan of The Watercure. I thought it was really... No, how can you not be a fan and say it was really good? I thought it was good, but I felt like it was trying to be a Handmaid's Tale or something like that and didn't quite do it. This is very different, so I didn't read her second novel, but I'm really, really excited for this. As soon as I heard that premise, I was like, that's a very me kind of book. Then we have a book that I don't know very much about at all, and it's Black Butterflies by Priscilla Morris, and this was from a small independent press called Duckworth, and it's set in Sarajevo in 1992. So, why have your face just done that?
Because I love Sarajevo. I went to Sarajevo in 1984.
Well,
and
there we go.
Found it very interesting.
So is this going to be about how it all?
Probably, yeah, because that's the run up to the war in former Yugoslavia, isn't it?
So yeah, that's what this one is about. So I'm really, really, really intrigued for it. It's a debut novel as well.
What nationality is she?
She is from, this is a great mix, Yugoslav and Cornish parentage.
Oh wow!
I love that. That's
so
brilliant.
there is a connection. Yeah.
So there we go. So this could be really, really powerful.
Do you know? I think this is a really interesting list. Well, we'll talk about that more, but I am very excited here. And next up, and this is a book that I've been wanting to get round to, so this is the perfect excuse. Is Maggie O'Farrell's The Marriage Portrait, and again, I'm aware of it. but haven't read it. I think you have, haven't
I
you?
have. I read
Yeah.
it for Sky Arts Book Club last year and had to read it really, really quickly because we were recording our Christmas
It's historical
special.
fiction, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were recording our Christmas episode in May, so I had to binge read it. Got very early proofs, and it's about Lucrezia D'Amici, I want to say, who.
Medici, maybe.
Yeah. The rumour is that her husband killed her when she was very young, and this follows that story. It's a big chunk, but then if you look, the font's huge.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that end
Duchess
paper.
of Ferrara. Oh, is this based on My Last Duchess, the poem?
I don't know.
Oh, well, it would make sense because he's the Duke of Ferrara.
So there we go.
Browning poem. It's a brilliant
It's got
poem.
a really lovely cover, and also I just want to show people the end papers.
Yeah.
There we go.
Thank you very much.
Next up, that was one of my favourite books of last year. Another of my favourite books of last year is I'm a Fan by Sheena Patel. And this is a book I think should be compulsory reading for anyone who uses Instagram, because it's about a young woman who is having an affair with a man who's also having an affair, but he's having multiple affairs. And one of the other women that he's having another affair with is someone well known on Instagram. And our protagonist starts to follow her a little bit too much, but also it just looks at like the things you definitely shouldn't do on social media. But it's also a really interesting look at what it's like to be a woman of colour in Britain today.
Right.
And again, vignettes, which I think is why a lot of people didn't think it would get in, because there is a minimum of 30,000 words if you want to be eligible for, if you want to be eligible. There are people there who have written 29,000 and now just whacking another 1,000 in for next year. But yeah, I absolutely love this. But yeah, that's that. I'm really intrigued for your thoughts on that one, because I don't know if you're going to love it or not.
Oh, neither do I. I don't know.
I'm excited for this next one.
Yeah, so this is Pod by Laline Paull, and again, it's a novel I don't know much about. I think I've heard you mention it before.
Louise, you vanished again behind the book.
Oh, sorry, it's because I'm trying to read it. I hold it out there.
But the blood's inside.
Margaret Atwood liked it on Twitter.
She did. Madeline Miller said it was great, and she won.
And Emma Donahue, all of whom I really admire their writing, so that's all positive.
I think it's
Don't You Just Love a Whale?
Eco-climate crisis novel, and Laline wrote The Bees, which I absolutely loved. It was one of my favourite books the year that it came out. So yeah, I think it might be told
before.
I think it might be told from the perspective of a dolphin.
Oh,
because the bees were told by
a spinner
bee.
dolphin.
So there we go.
Yeah, she's expected to join in the elaborate rituals that unite her pod.
We're
Hence
learning.
We're
learning together.
Well, isn't that what reading's all about?
Oh, it is. And then we have Wandering Souls by Cecile Pin, which has been doing the rounds all over Bookstagram. I've seen this loads, and I believe it is a book after it's set after the American troops leave Vietnam. Ooh. And so we follow what happens to, I think, a family after that. Again, I feel bad that we're not giving masses away, because I don't want to know too much before I go in, I just will do that sort of, all right, okay, goodbye. I'm excited for this one.
This one, I just love the title. Like, the title has me straight away, The Bandit Queens. It's by Parini Shroff. Again, I don't know anything about it, but I can tell you, for Gita, life as a widow is more peaceful than life as a wife.
Oh, if you read,
interesting.
Can I just please take this from your hands? 1 second, sorry. Because it was this that made me want to read it when I saw Gita is believed to have killed her vanished husband, a rumour she hasn't bothered trying to correct.
Oh, attitude, sassy.
It sounds really exciting.
And it says, at times deeply serious and at times laugh out loud funny. And I love a book that can make me laugh. I think for me, I think humour is the hardest genre to write. And so if a book does make me laugh, I am in absolute awe of the writer, because I think it's really difficult. I
also really love when an author uses humour in order to really highlight something quite dark and will almost wrong foot you with it. I think that's a very, very tricky skill for a writer to do brilliantly. So if that, look at us, we're just putting loads of pressure on the Bandit Queen straight away. Yes. And last but not least, we have Memphis by Tara M. Stringfellow, which I have started and you have read.
Yeah.
And this is about 3 generations of women in Memphis.
Strangely. Kel Supreme.
I'm so glad we're
Is that
filming
all you're
together
saying?
again. I've seen your review of it on your channel. I haven't got far enough. All I've got to is where we know that Miriam's husband has been abusive.
Yeah.
Her father's died, or her... Yeah, is it her father?
It's her father.
Yeah, her father's died in the line of duty, but I think it's much more dark and complex than that.
Yeah,
and her daughter seems to have had something horrible happen to her when she was very young in the house they've gone back to.
Right, yeah. I mean, it isn't a novel for the faint-hearted, I would say, but I was completely gripped by it. Yeah.
So there we go. So that's the 16. How are you feeling about the list?
Very, very excited. I don't know why. I think I'm more excited about this list than any that we've done so far. Simply because, I'll tell you why. Yes, just before you take breath. This is the first list where all the books that I've actually read myself, I feel they deserve to be on this list. And I also think there's a really eclectic mix of books and a really diverse list of writers. I know there always is, but to me it seems more so. It seems more of a kind of mélange this year. So I'm very much looking forward to it.
I told you.
No.
I'm also very much looking forward to it. I think partly because I like the fact that quite a lot of them are short. I know that sounds really bad, because also you said recently, I'm going to quote you, possibly misquote you.
No, you're right. I know what you're going to say.
You like books over 300 pages and you think there's too many under 300 pages, is that right?
Yeah.
And actually quite a lot of these are quite short. But one thing that fascinates me is how do you compare a really short book to, say, the Kingsolver?
Yes,
That's going to be something, and that's something I
yeah.
kind of want to document myself a little bit more. How do I compare them a bit? I'm really excited for it. I think I had a mild grump last year with the long list. We were talking about this, weren't we? And I can't really remember. I think it's just because Sarah Winman wasn't on it, and I think that bothered me from the off because I just thought that was such a good book. So it wasn't a grump,
it was a sulk.
Mildly, yeah, possibly. I was a bit mardy about it.
Yeah, yeah, you were.
But also I think it's because the year before, like, I think last year felt like a divided set of judges that every year there's a really strong shortlist, no matter how divided the long list might be. There'll always be a corking shortlist out of it. But also, I think the 2021 list was so good. Or was it the 2020? There was 2020 and 2021 that I think were just particularly brilliant long lists. So last year felt a bit more patchy to me as I read it. Whereas this, I haven't read, I've only read 5 of them. But I do feel like it's a really interesting list. Again, it's quite a mixture of stuff.
Well, and also you said that, after you'd made your predictions video, some of these books you didn't really know anything about at all. Like they weren't on your... A
lot of them are not even on my radar whatsoever. And I love that. And
which
also...
is great. I mean, yeah, exactly.
When I was looking at other people's predictions, because I love seeing what people predict, I don't think I saw anyone who's predicted more than 4 or 5. That's really exciting to me because that's loads of books. It shows, one, that there's an absolute wealth of titles to pick for, which some people might say, well, the prize isn't needed anymore. Then I think it's even more so because it keeps highlighting how incredible and diverse and varied women's fiction is. I think this year I'm just really intrigued by it, and I think there'll be a lot of people who'll be sort of, after the reaction when I didn't include Barbara Kingsolver in my predictions. I mean, I didn't even include Maggie, and that was because genuinely this year, and I'm delighted that she's on it, and I'm delighted Barbara Kingsolver's on it. I'm thrilled for everyone. I'm also this year not bothered if some of my favourites aren't on it.
No.
And that's my mindset has changed a bit. So also because I just don't think you can anymore say that just because, I don't know, Maggie O'Farrell's won before, she'll make it again, just like you can't say
that. But isn't that a wonderful
Kingsolver
thing about the Women's Prize? Because the judges change every year and come from very different backgrounds. And the long list is always quite quirky. And as I say, drawing to our attention authors that perhaps...
But I don't think that's intentional, I genuinely don't, because I saw a few videos where people were saying oh, well, a historical book's got to be on the blah, blah, and the prize doesn't do that. And I think as well, it can't even try because every year it's different judges, which... It's interesting. Some people think prizes should have the same judges for a few years to see how that... But I think what's great is that it's so varied every year. There are some books I would love to see on there. I can't believe Kate Atkinson has, I don't think, ever been on a shortlist that I'm aware of.
No, we were discussing that last night, weren't we?
Lucy,
I'm surprised you were about.
I was going to call her Lucy Strout. Elizabeth Strout isn't on there. But I'm not sulking about it. I'm just like, I mean, what the one that I think is maybe a sad one for me is I think Ayobami Adebayo's book would have been great to have on this list, but actually, and I was saying this to you yesterday, and I'm not quite sure what this means in my own head yet, but it's how I feel that's more of a book than a women's prize book, and I do think there's a difference.
I am upset that Lessons in Chemistry isn't on there. Bonnie, what's she called?
Gamis.
Yes, because I think that's a novel that really does explore how ridiculous sexism is.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it when I read it, and I'm really grateful to lots of viewers because that was the book I got the most recommendations to read last year.
Yeah, I think it's fab.
So many, and also it was really funny because people who I knew in real life were recommending it me a lot as well. And I read it, and I really, really enjoyed it. But I can also see why it's not on there.
Oh, really?
Because I liked it a lot.
Get it? I think it, to me. I mean, I could have put that forward as a potential winner.
But now this is interesting because do you think, because I was thinking about this with Lapvona, because that's the only one probably that I'm mildly mardy or miffed about, but not that miffed because I understand it's a real Marmite book. I just think it's very much my kind of cup of tea because it's got thick and dark and twisted and disturbing, which I quite like. But there is part of me that possibly like last year with Still Life, I'll be comparing them to that, interestingly.
Having like a benchmarky book.
Even though like my benchmark should technically be I'm a fan and Maggie that I've already read. Yeah. The ones that I haven't read I will be comparing to Lapvona.
So I won't be doing that at all, and I think
not
we
with
were doing that a lot last year. No, I won't. My brain won't work like that. It won't though.
What did she spawn? I'm so different. Spawn's an awful word.
It is an awful word, but I'm very excited about my spawn in my pond.
Oh, here we go. She's off about this again. Let's all move on from Botany Corner, Louise. So our plan is to read them all before the shortlist, which is announced on the 26th of April. And we will do our thing of whether it's a yes or a no for us and seeing which 6 we each take forward. But what we're hoping to do, which is a little bit different because quite a few of you said you'd like it, is to sort of catch up a bit as we go. And one of the things that we're going to do with
Where is it?
Demon Copperhead, which I keep calling something else and I mustn't because it's naughty.
Oh gosh, I can't cope.
Oh gosh. I thought you were going to fall off. I literally thought she'd gone.
Oh no, I'm rescuing the book.
In excitement, she'd absolutely gone.
She's back. Save myself.
Here she is. So what we're planning on doing with Demon Copperhead, which is something we haven't done before, is we're both going to read it and vlog our thoughts of it and then intersplice them so that every 50 pages you'll get, say, Mum's thoughts, but also what she thinks I'll be thinking, and I'll be doing the same, and then I'm going to put them together. And that video will go live on my channel on Mother's Day.
Yes, and I've already started.
She has. And
I've already recorded my reaction to the first 50 pages, which is why I had to be really careful what I said before.
Well, you can't send me any of them until I finished it. That is going to be the next book that I read. So, yeah. In terms of us doing it the other way around, are we going to pick 2 short books we do it with? Or should we ask people if they've got 2 books that we'd like, that we haven't read yet, and we've said which ones that we have read? So out of the ones that we've not read yet then... Here she is. Out of...
I'm showing the spine so they can read, look.
Wandering Souls. Well, I'm trying to read them now. So, Wandering Souls, Black Butterflies, Children of Paradise, Homesick.
Bandit Queens, Pod, Cursed Bread and Fire Rush.
Which 2 would you like us to record our thoughts on and splice them together for Mum's channel? I like the fact that we're handing it over to other people to make that decision for us.
Yes, I do actually. That's quite nice.
So and we will make that video. But also, if you've got any suggestions for any other videos you would like us to make during Women's Prize season, then we shall do our best. Because also I'm aware that once we've done the shortlist, our predictions, we don't really do anything.
No.
So maybe that's something that we should think about doing.
Yeah, I think so.
Is there something, could we interview one of the judges maybe? Could we interview some of the shortlisted authors?
Hey, that'd be fun.
You know, there's possibilities.
Yeah.
I'm putting it out there, I don't know.
Maybe interview previous judges, because I think it'd be quite hard to interview the current ones, because they'd be really...
Oh, I don't know, grill them.
Oh, really?
Grill them.
Okay, fair enough.
Bella Mackie, I will be coming for you. That was said mildly threateningly. That's because I have been chatting with her in DMs today, so that's not me just being like randomly weird, not about the prize. That's something that we could definitely, I just think that would be quite good. Yeah. I know we could talk to previous judges. I think that would be really nice. And also maybe, I don't know, any thoughts down below, that would be lovely. Also, I keep forgetting to say, lots of you really liked this t-shirt in my predictions video. It is from the Women's Prize, so if you head to their website, you can actually buy it. Mildred's come to join us, and Oscar's in here. There'll be a cat fight any moment. So before that happens, Mum, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I don't think so. I'm just really, really buzzing.
I think we're going to be doing a sort of chatty video for your channel. Is that right?
It might be.
Oh. Well, I was going to send people out.
Yeah,
don't go and visit her channel. Don't bother. Don't. If you do, I'll be furious.
I'm going to be grilling Simon for a change.
Be interesting. Lightly grilled savage. Any other thoughts, please let us know. I think we should even do, like, for the shortlisting, long list of shortlist, I think we should go and have a little retreat somewhere. A little bookish retreat, that'd be quite good fun. Anyway, we've nearly headed for 35 minutes, so it's time to go. But let us know your thoughts on the long list down below too, and which ones you have read and loved. I will say, for me personally, if you haven't liked some of the ones I haven't read yet, don't tell me now. I'd like to know after I've read them. Yes,
and me too as well, because it's so difficult to... You want to read in a very unbiased way. And,
and I'm not...
No preconceptions.
I've got no action plan of how I'm going to read them, apart from I want to get Demon Copperhead read.
Yes, because it's so long.
Well, also because I want to make that vlog.
Yeah.
And schedule it for while I'm on holiday. Anyway, we will all speak to you at some point somewhere. That sounded mildly sinister.
There's only 2 of us. Were you including the cats? Was that what it was?
Did I say we will all?
We will all speak to you, you said.
We will both.
We will both.
Speak to you. Wow, this is the last year. We'll both speak to you somewhere at some point very, very soon.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Bye.
Bye.
No, it should be... Bye.